Hey guys, so TikTok might be getting banned next month, and I'm pretty sad about it. That is, I was sad about it until I stumbled across this freak.
Who wants to touch Amber's pickle?
Sticking Mikey yacht at the school bus. There's probably children, so I cannot cuss. But babe, it's never gonna fit. But babe, it's never gonna fit.
Take that! Take that! Now get in my get!
So, I've been on the internet for quite a while now, and I've definitely seen my fair share of what I guess you would call millennial cringe.
As a 28-year-old toddler that spills everything. Like that.
But I am not exaggerating when I say that the TikToker Amber Unavailable is the cringiest millennial I have ever seen in my entire life. Watching her content is physically painful. I genuinely think that the US government should start using Amber's content to torture prisoners of war. We would get a lot better outcomes from our torture if we started doing that. If they did this, I think this would at least double the effectiveness of our torture. And not only is Amber's content incredibly uncomfortable to watch, it's also purposefully inappropriate and purposefully made for children. So in this video, I hope to expose why, in my opinion, Amber is purposefully preying on children and exposing them to sexual content that is not appropriate for them to be watching. Amber is everything that is wrong with social media distilled into one disgusting human being. Amber originally got her start by making cringy musical comedy for millennials about how everyone in Gen Z is just too sensitive.
Shabuya roll call.
My name is Gen Z.
Yeah.
It's all about me.
Yeah.
What would I ever do in life without technology?
Yeah.
Don't know my gender,
Yeah.
but still on Tinder.
Yeah.
What sort of bathroom do I use? God, I surrender.
Yeah.
You get it? These kids these days always on their damn phones with their damn genders. I bet Gen Z wishes that phone was a gender so they could identify as phone gender. You would expect to see content like this being made for boomers and being shared around some boomer Facebook group somewhere, but no, it's being made by millennials for millennials on TikTok because I guess millennials are the new boomers. Of course, I am not saying that all millennials are like this, but the second that the majority of your humor revolves around Gen Z and their damn phones and genders, you have basically become a boomer at that point.
Hello, I'm 2023. We think everything is racist here. Hey, look, it looks like I'm pregnant. That's too insensitive, dear. There are women who can't get pregnant. You might be triggering them. But first, I'll need your pronouns. Are they she, he, they, or them?
This is so true. Everyone knows that there's nothing us wokies hate more than when women talk about the fact that they're pregnant. Everyone knows that we believe only men can get pregnant. There's nothing I love more than putting on the game, pounding some brewskis, and getting pregnant with the boys. And then not pounding any more brewskis because the boys are conscientious about making sure to not give their children fetal alcohol syndrome. Amber would probably say that I'm triggered by her hilarious jokes right now. I'm not triggered. I think that there is a lot of very funny humor out there that makes fun of Gen Z and woke people. I think It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia has some pretty good bits making fun of woke people, for example. Literally, my only requirements for people who want to make fun of woke people in Gen Z is to make it funny and make it something I haven't already heard a million times before. And joking about how Gen Z's damn phones are turning them transgender is something I have heard a million times by now. Anyway, I guess Amber found some success in the past by doing this super surface level musical comedy and by doing racist impressions of Native Americans.
My clan is the Cherokee Peepees.
Get it? She's from the Cherokee Peepee clan. Peepee rhymes with teepee, and teepees are Native American, and peepees are penis. And we all know that penis is funny as hell. Good one, Amber. After a while, I guess she stopped getting as much attention as she wanted to from her hilarious musical comedy.
Bees nuts, bees nuts, bees nuts, my baby to me, to me. Bees nuts, bees nuts, bees nuts, my baby to me.
So after musical comedy stopped working for Amber, she decided to pivot to being sexual in public for kids. Amber is like if you took all of the worst elements of Colleen Ballinger and cranked them up to fucking a million. But while Colleen Ballinger had inappropriate conversations with children in private, Amber has them with children in the middle of Target.
You got the key to my panties. Oh no!
Amber's entire content strategy now is to do sexual things in front of kids, make kids incredibly confused or shocked with what they're seeing, so they'll share this content with their friends. More shares leads to more engagement, and this is how Amber has gained 730,000 followers. Oh, come on, Ryan. Sure, maybe Amber's being a public nuisance, but that doesn't mean that this content is specifically for kids. Well, let's hear it from Amber herself, how she views her own content.
That's what I do. That's what I do all day is confuse children.
So from Amber's own mouth, what she does all day is confuse children. And how does she confuse them? Well, by doing things like pulling her pants down and spreading her butt cheeks open for them.
I say a prayer with every butt cheek. I fall in love, yeah, that's how I'm talking.
There are generally two ways to gain fame on social media. Either you can make good content, or you can make shocking content that gets engagement because of how insane it is, also known as rage bait. And Amber's content is sexual rage bait for kids. Woo! Sexual rage bait for kids! It's so great that children on TikTok are being exposed to this. She calls these trips to the store field trips, which is so creepy, and it clearly demonstrates that this is intended for children.
Thus concludes the field trip. Thus concludes it. Everyone give your girl a follow. Give your girl a follow if you enjoyed the field trip.
Like, imagine if when you were in school, instead of going on a field trip to the zoo, instead your teacher took you on a field trip to Target, where they started groping all the mannequins and pulling their pants down and spreading their butt cheeks open for you. That teacher would go to prison, but when Amber does it, it's just quirky millennial humor that's totally harmless, guys. If you still have any doubt that this content is made for kids, here are a few more examples of her acknowledging that most of her audience are children.
I know that you guys are like kids, so you just like copy each other, but just try to have some individuality. Try, okay? I know it's hard for you, but maybe try.
So what she's doing here is negging the children. Basically, she'll insult the children in her audience because she knows that kids are very susceptible to reverse psychology. So when you insult them for leaving bad comments, this just encourages them to leave more comments, which gives her more engagement. And the more engagement she gets, the more likely her live stream is to show up on people's TikTok For You pages. And don't forget that she is currently acknowledging that most of her audience are children while wearing a shirt that says, stuff me daddy, with a picture of stuffing pouring out of a turkey pussy. Very classy, Amber. Another way she likes to neg the kids in her audience is by saying that the only way to prove you're not a kid is by giving her money.
You can go to gifts. Next to gifts is exclusive. It's just a penny. It's just how I distinguish the kids from the adults, you know?
If you don't give me money, this just shows that you're a dumb little baby. But if you do give me money, this shows that you're really mature for your age. Now watch me deep throat this cucumber. So this content is predatory, right? It is predatory to try to manipulate children into giving you money, and it is predatory to make sexual content specifically for children. I don't think Amber is a predator in the sense that she's like trying to establish inappropriate relationships with children, as far as I can tell, but it is still predatory to use sex in order to get attention and money from children. This should go without saying. I'm sure Amber will get very mad at me for calling her content predatory, and for some reason she actually has a decent number of adults in her audience that always run to her defense and claim that her content is just jokes. She has a Discord filled with weirdos, and these weirdos will probably run to this video and say that I'm falsely accusing her of being a predator. So let me just directly ask the adults in Amber's audience. If you had a child and your child was alone with someone who was doing all of the things that Amber does in her videos, would you be okay with this? If you answered yes, you should probably go to prison. Let's just quickly run through all of the inappropriate things Amber has done in her videos for kids, and these are just the things that I've seen. I'm sure there's way more. Pretending a cucumber's a penis, deep-throating a cucumber, wearing a bunch of shirts with sexual innuendos on them, shaking her ass in front of a school bus, pretending an eggplant is fucking a peach, sticking phallic objects down her pants, pulling down her pants for kids, shaking her ass for kids, spreading her butt cheeks open for kids, groping mannequins, pretending to molest her doll, saying that her audience is gonna give her a facial, then spreading yogurt all over her face while moaning, and last but certainly not least, repeatedly making out with dogs.
The dogs.
What the fuck is going on, bro? Can we please just go back to the simpler days where people were doing pranks in the hood to get famous instead of doing bestiality? I remember when ElsaGate was a big controversy on YouTube years ago because YouTubers were using characters like Elsa to make inappropriate content for kids. Well, in my opinion, what Amber is doing is worse than anything I ever saw during ElsaGate, but for some reason no one is really talking about it. I've seen a few people online make fun of how cringy Amber is, but for some reason I haven't really seen anyone point out just how creepy and predatory this content is. I hate to play the double standards card, but I think if a male creator were doing all of the things that Amber is doing, they would get a lot more backlash. For some reason, when women do inappropriate sexual things in front of kids, people are more willing to see it as just a joke. And of course I understand that this is because statistically men are much more likely to be predators, but this doesn't let women off the hook when they decide to be weirdo freaks in front of kids. According to some emails that Amber sent to another commentary creator, she's fully aware that everything she's doing is cringe, and she claims that this is all a parody. But what is she parodying exactly? In my opinion, for something to be a parody, it has to be clear what you are parodying. Are you parodying people who act like freaks in public? No, you just are a freak in public. And the fact that you're aware that you're acting like a freak doesn't make it any better. In the words of Bo Burnham, self-awareness doesn't absolve anyone of anything. To be clear, I'm not 100% against comedy where the humor comes from being a nuisance in public, but I think it's only funny in very specific circumstances. Like, I think Eric Andre has some pretty funny pranks where he's a public nuisance, like where he offered people on the subway bites of his Chinese food for 50 cents a bite. But I think as far as comedy goes, public pranks are like the highest risk form of comedy, because if you aren't a genuinely hilarious comedian like Eric Andre, it turns cringe very, very fast. But I also think that Amber is fully aware that she is being incredibly cringe and this isn't even funny. She knows that she's making money off of rage baiting people, and she doesn't care because she is making tens of thousands of dollars off of this, because for some reason there are people on the internet that want to give money to people acting like a freak in public. And again, the biggest distinction between Eric Andre and Amber is that Eric Andre doesn't make his content for kids. I'm sure you've seen that one Miles Morales TikToker who does certain actions whenever he gets a TikTok gift. These people call themselves NPC live streamers, and I guess that Amber is also kind of an NPC live streamer because she'll always do certain actions that correspond to whatever gift she's getting. Like for Halloween, whenever she would get the witch's brew gift, she would do this action over and over and over.
Put it in my witch's brew. I got magic. Alakazam, kazoo, doo, doo. Put it in, put it in, put it in. Witches, ma, ma, ma. Boo, boo, boo.
But unlike the Miles Morales guy, Amber likes to add a little sexual flair to her NPC actions, like how when she gets a meerkat gift, she'll ask random strangers if they want to see her meerkat.
Wanna see my meerkat? Wanna see my meerkat? Wanna see my meerkat? Wanna see my meerkat? Wanna see my meerkat?
Or whenever she gets a galaxy gift, she'll drop down on the floor and start shaking her ass for kids.
No, Mr. Brian, no! Galaxy explosion! Boop, 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 boop. Galaxy explosion! Boop, galaxy explosion! Boop, boop.
She also makes money by doing dares, where she'll do whatever the chat dares her to do when she gets enough gifts. She'll do sexual dares like rubbing yogurt on her face while moaning or groping mannequins. She'll do disgusting dares like eating food off the floor, drinking from puddles, licking toilets, or making out with dogs. And she'll do potentially illegal dares like destroying produce by laying in it, trespassing into the back rooms of grocery stores, and yelling bomb in an airport.
Oh my god, is that a bomb?
Basically, Amber has absolutely no dignity because having dignity doesn't make you that TikTok live moolah. If as a comedian you ever realize that you suffer from being chronically unfunny, I guess all you have to do is go on TikTok and do shocking shit and you can make tens of thousands of dollars. Isn't that great? It's kind of hard to give commentary on someone like Amber because it's not like if I somehow formulate the perfect nuanced critique that I'll cause Amber to see the error of her ways. No, she has just decided that she will do literally anything for money. That is basically the extent of her as a human being. Okay, that's probably a bit too harsh. I know that Amber, of course, is a human being outside of what she does on TikTok, and she has talked about how in the past she's struggled with mental health and addiction. And you know what, Amber? That is super freaking valid. Your struggles are valid as frick. Whenever I deal with my mental health struggles, I also spread my butt cheeks open for kids. Like, I get that she was struggling to make money, and this is how she found out a way to make money, and there's some amount of degeneracy that I can turn a blind eye to when people are just trying to figure out how to survive in this hellscape we're living in. But I think most people would agree that we all draw the line at doing sexual things for kids. And while, of course, mental health and addiction are valid struggles, I do not give a single fuck if you want to use those struggles to try to justify your disgusting actions. She also has this alien doll that she says is her son, and she really likes to joke about sexualizing it.
I slap my son and my son slaps me. God bless my son, I hold his pee-pee. Your pee-pee's so big and so strong and so mighty, there's nothing your pee-pee can't do.
This is so funny. The joke is that she hits her son and touches his penis. That hashtag relatable moment where you beat your son and touch his penis. I can't be the only one who has those days where all I want to do is beat my son and touch his penis. Parenting hack. Do positive affirmations for your children daily. This is such a funny joke. Traumatize your children by singing to them about how big their penis is. Classic comedy. You know, I think there's a reason that the alerts that are put out when children are abducted are called Amber Alerts, because watching Amber's content makes me want to put out an Amber Alert. I don't usually like to encourage my audience to go and report other creators, but I think Amber has definitely crossed a line of what should be acceptable on TikTok, and I'm very confused why TikTok hasn't banned her already. I think it's important to keep kids on TikTok safe, so I would encourage the people in my audience to go and let TikTok know your opinions on Amber's content if you catch my drift. I know on YouTube it's seen as bad taste to tell your audience to go report other creators, but I think when it comes to keeping kids safe, there should be an exception to that. Obviously, don't go harass Amber or anything like that. Just let TikTok know that she is making content that is not appropriate for the children on their platform. I was joking at the beginning of the video when I said that I hope TikTok gets banned. I actually don't want TikTok to get banned, but when creators like Amber are allowed on the platform, this is just a disaster waiting to happen when parents realize that this is the type of content that is being shown to their kids. If content like Elsagate led to an adpocalypse for YouTube in the past, I definitely think content like Amber's content could lead to a similar adpocalypse for TikTok. That is, if TikTok doesn't just end up getting banned anyway, which it's looking like it will, so whatever. Amber has had the police called on her many times. She even had to go to court one time after being arrested for trespassing on someone's property.
So what am I going to court for, you ask? Well, I was on TikTok live one day and I was going around and knocking on people's doors, singing them a song, doing a dance, asking them to rate my outfit on a scale of 1 to 10. You know, very innocent things like this. And I rang someone's Ring doorbell and they recognized me from TikTok and told me to get the fuck off their porch. So I proceeded to get the fuck off their porch and I went home. About an hour later, a police officer shows up at my house and writes me a $200 fine for trespassing.
And then she posted this YouTube video where she tried to gaslight her audience into believing that nothing she does on TikTok Live is sexual. Apparently, the judge refused to throw out her case because he had seen how sexual her content on TikTok was.
Dude, call me naive, but the police are allowed to just make shit up? Trooper Little attested to defendant walking door to door in the neighborhood asking kids sexual questions? Are you out of your mind? Everybody knows that if I even remotely see a child outside, I scream, "Child in the wild," and I run away in the opposite direction. I not only do not talk to them, I run in the complete opposite direction. You're allowed to just make up something? And you know what the judge said to me? "You're giving a false testimony because I've seen stuff on TikTok that's very sexual and shouldn't be allowed on there."
And she tried to lie to the judge and say that clearly her content isn't sexual because if it was sexual, TikTok would take it down.
So naturally, when I came to the stand, the first thing I said is that TikTok would never allow me to stay on live if I was doing anything remotely sexual, especially towards a child. Are you out of your mind? I had to explain to him, "Sir, there are very different guidelines for TikTok Live versus TikTok. We are talking about live streaming right now." He didn't even know we were talking about live streaming! Oh God. He was like 80 years old. He didn't even know what live streaming was. His response to me explaining him that the guidelines are different, "Well, you're giving a false testimony."
But this is obviously a blatant lie. Most of the things I've shown to you in this video were done during TikTok live streams. TikTok should be taking down her live streams because they're sexual, but for some reason they aren't. But just because TikTok is doing a bad job at enforcing its rules, that obviously doesn't prove that Amber's live streams aren't sexual. I just do not fucking understand Amber whatsoever. I feel like you could build this same following doing shocking shit in public without making it sexual and for kids. She clearly gets some sort of sick enjoyment from exposing children to things that they shouldn't be seeing at their age and seeing how shocked this makes them. And that is obviously fucked up. I like to try to give people the benefit of the doubt, but I think Amber is a genuinely evil person. So Amber, I think you should be kept far away from the children on TikTok. If you want to keep doing comedy, go to an open mic night and try doing this exact same humor for adults. Pull your pants down, spread your butt cheeks open for them, and see how many laughs you get, or see if maybe you get booed off the stage for being so unfunny. But just please keep this shit away from the children on TikTok. So what have we learned today? I guess we've learned that being an absolute freak with no morals and no dignity can make you tens of thousands of dollars on the internet. But I'm sure we already knew that. As long as these incentives exist on social media where the more engagement you get, the more money you can make, no matter how terrible your content is, people like Amber will keep popping up from time to time. And I think it's the responsibility of people like me to call this shit out, and it's the responsibility of platforms like TikTok to keep this shit off their platforms. All I know is that if I ever have kids one day, I will keep them as far away from Amber as humanly possible. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I thought it was worth making a video calling Amber out because I haven't really seen anyone else doing it. Next month, I have a massive project that I've been working on for the last 6 months coming out that I'm really excited for you guys to see. So click the link in the description and go subscribe to my other channel if you want to see that massive project when it comes out. I'm really excited to hear what you all think about it. All right, see you then.